Oh,
Yes.
so are you wanting to do your story like after? As I can do
Yeah,
my
yeah.
main, and then like you can do your story, and then I can do like the Reddit ones.
Yeah, like however you want to do it, my friend. Um, I'm okay. I took my notes. I have notes. If we wait a second, Lonnie will be here too.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm excited, and I'm excited to be told a story.
Yeah, I like did my research. I wrote on my little notepad. So I'm prepared. And to listen about creepy little kids. I'm gonna have to watch cartoons.
Yeah, this Black Eyed Kids are terrifying, so I
Uh,
definitely have
I
to.
have I avoided temptation because when you told me, I was so curious and I was like, oh my God, I really want to know. But I avoided the Google. I'd love to hear it, hear it, but I've never even heard about them. So I'm
Really,
excited to hear about some creepy little black-eyed kids.
I have the main story, and then I have two Reddit posts I found from users that are so creepy.
Uh,
One is pretty long, so I'm gonna save that one for kind of the last one, but
Mine's not too long. And I actually the story's kind of short, but I actually took three short Reddit posts about it that people have talked about their experience in there.
ooh, I'm
So,
excited.
yeah, so I took your Reddit stories and I was like, let me grab a couple like experiences that other people have experienced
It's awesome.
and throw it in there. Lonnie's on his way and we get started. Yay! I'm excited too. I'm like every Friday I look forward to this.
Oh, me too, me too.
I'm like, oh, scary time! Scary time! Yeah, we got a couple new people around, so I was gonna try to get them to kind of show up and show out. I got a whole bunch of snacks if you get hungry.
Oh, perfect, because I just woke up. I like took a nap. So I've been up, so I wasn't able to stop at Ulu like I wanted to.
Yeah, I stopped there and I grabbed blue boba tea, some Nico cookies, some ramen. I got some quinoa for a healthy snack. And
Mm.
then I got some Cuban cigars, some flashlights, a party.
Oh yeah, I love it. You're walking down the street, or stopping after, or even before work to get gas at a stoplight, and even at home, on a Friday night watching movies, and you hear a knock at the door, and there's two kids. They're looking down at the ground, but they're asking if they can come inside to use your phone to call their parents because they're lost. You get a weird feeling, but they're kids, so what could go wrong? And they need some help. So you welcome them in your home by letting them get in, or letting them get into your car to use the phone. And as they're sitting on your couch, you start to take notice that something seems off. You start to realize that their clothes look from it like an outdated time, and they're awfully pale. And then you catch a glimpse of their eyes, and their eyes are pure black with not a single speck of color in them. And you've just encountered the black-eyed kids. So what are they? Black-eyed kids are said to appear between 6 to 16. There's typically two of them. Two girls, two boys, one girl, one boy. It may change from encounter to encounter, but what doesn't change is their story. They've been known to approach your car in your work parking lot, while you're at the gas station, even while you're waiting for the light to turn green at the stoplight. Or they can knock right on your front door. Now, if you tell them no right off the bat, they typically try to persuade you. But what happens if you give them a ride? Or they come in and use your phone? And then, or you change your mind and say that they can, and then you get that weird little feeling and you're just like, well, actually, you know, I don't think so. It's been reported that they will chase your car, bang on your windows, and screech, telling you to let them in. So where did they come from? A lot of people theorize that they're actually aliens. Others believe that they're demon spawns. So where did their story originate from? The first story that I could find is from 1998. It said that there's supposed to be stories reported from actual 1980s, but I couldn't really find anything. But the first recorded story is that of Brian Bethel, who is a journalist from Albany. Oh my gosh, I was meant to look this up, but I forgot. Abilene, Texas. And then it said that a second encounter from an unknown person was reported in Portland, Oregon. So let's get to Brian's story first. Although the report comes in 1998, it actually happened in 1996, but he felt like if he came forward, it would ruin his career as a journalist. And so he was sitting at his car at night in a movie theater parking lot. He was running around all day, you know, doing errands, catching up, you know, what they did in 1996, where you had to actually drive to your bills instead of being able to pay for them online. I'm so thankful we have that now, because I would not want to do that. So he was sitting in a movie theater parking lot, writing a check, and two kids come up knocking on his window. He rolls down the window a bit and asks if they need anything and what they need. They ask if they could give him a ride home to get some cash to buy a movie ticket. He asked what movie and they replied, Mortal Kombat. He noticed the time and realized that the showing is already started, and by the time they got the cash, it would already be over. He told them, and he also stated he felt a bit uncomfortable, but he started to open his door. He claims that he didn't even want to, and he wasn't even controlling his arm. He felt like a force was forcing him to open the door. But once the hoodies kind of shifted, he noticed his eyes, and the spell broke. And he was able to stop himself from opening the door. He describes the eyes as coal black. No pupil, no iris. Ryan not opening the door angered the boys, and one of them started to tell them, "Let me in." They started screaming, telling him that they can't come in unless he says it's okay, and starts banging on the car windows. And they aren't just screaming, okay, they're shrieking, like an unhuman shriek. Brian finally was able to turn his car on and put it in gear and press on the gas pedal. Once he looks up, the kids are gone. Now, this other encounter happened in 2012 in Point Pleasant. Point Pleasant, West Virginia, where there are typical stories of the Mothman. However, for Marie, the black-eyed kids came to visit instead. She states she had been watching TV around 11 p.m. at night and hears a knock as she is taking a bite of her pizza. She looks through the spy hole to see who or what it was. And there are two boys looking back at her. Wearing hoodies, she asked if they were okay. She didn't get a reply though. Mary puts, the little chain that goes from the wall to the door. And you can still open up the door a little bit, but she puts the chain to kind of keep the door from being able to be thrown open. So I thought that was actually pretty smart, but So she opens the door and they start demanding food from her, and because they were really hungry. Marie states that they were very pale and with a monotone voice. She slams the door and backs away. A few moments later, she looked through the spy hole again to see if they were still there. However, when they start to shimmy, I guess, and transform into these lizard-like monsters and then completely just disappear. She packed her bags and went to her mom's house in Ohio for a few days and didn't tell anyone until 2014. So a lot of people think that, you know, the conspiracy theory of lizard people, they kind of think that the black-eyed kids are a version of that. And then this next story is probably the most popular. It was the one that I was told and heard about growing up. So this elderly couple in Vermont. So it said that they are at home at night and they hear the 3 loud knocks on the front door. They opened the door and saw the 2 kids, but this time it was a boy and a girl. The kids were looking down, not making eye contact, and asked if they could call their parents. They were hesitant, but again, you know, they're little kids. What could they do? They allowed them to come in and use the phone, and then they sat on the couch. The wife made some hot chocolate. The husband tried asking questions like who they are, what their names, where they were from, but they wouldn't get an answer. They just sat and stared. The kids asked to get up and use the restroom, and when they got up, the wife saw their eyes. Her husband is sitting there with his hands in his face, and she goes over to him and asks him, "Did you see their eyes?" He opens his hand, and his hand is full of blood, so his nose is bleeding. And it's not just like a regular nosebleed, like it's gushing. And then the power goes out.
Bye, kids.
They got up. So the wife got up and went to go check on the kids. And they heard a couple of voices from the bathroom, and then opens the door and said, "Our parents are here." So then they left, shut the door. Now the wife looks out to the driveway, and it said the parents are very tall and slender. It kind of reminds me, or kind of makes me think of like Slender Men. So it used to scare the shit out of me.
Yeah.
So what happens when you let them in? Well, over the next week, their cats went missing, and then one is even found in a pool of its own blood. The husband kept having the nosebleeds. Once he went to the doctor to figure out what was going on, it was confirmed he had this really aggressive skin cancer. And that is all I could find of that story. It isn't said that if he was cured or if he died, unfortunately, but those are the black-eyed kids.
That's creepy.
Why do you think? Like, 'cause I've heard it before. You gotta invite the motherfuckers in. Why do you think you gotta invite them in instead of them just coming in?
Well, if they're aliens, maybe they have strict rules they have to follow or something like that.
That'd be crazy if they had to, like, if that's a real thing. I remember the first time I saw that was Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Oh yeah, with vampires.
No, can't come in.
Maybe it's the same with like lizard people.
No way.
Yeah, that's super creepy.
You ever thought you seen a black-eyed person?
No, and I don't ever want to, and I'm so scared.
That'd be so crazy.
Because, you know, I work overnight, so I go to work at night. And in the winter time, it's still nighttime when I come home, so I'm always so scared. I always said if I ever see someone, I would just put my head down and keep going. Absolutely not. All right, Karen, I think it's time for your story.
If I saw some little kids with little black eyes, I'm gonna walk the other way. I hope that they're not getting beat up.
I remember listening to one of the podcasts that I listened to, and they were discussing black-eyed kids, and one of their stories, I tried finding this story, but I didn't want to take it from them. I tried finding like the article itself, but I couldn't find it. But one of them, it said that they were leaving home, so he saw the kids before he went into this work meeting, and he's like, oh yeah, if you guys are still here after my meeting, I'll take you guys home or whatever it was. And they were still there after the meeting, and he's like, oh, I didn't think you guys would still be here. I actually can, I changed my mind. And then like they also start screeching and start banging on the windows, and we're trying to like open the car door, and then thankfully, if I remember correctly, his car wouldn't turn on. Thankfully his coworker was still there and was able to kind of roll up on them and get him in his car and drive away.
Yeah, I would freak out. It's not okay.
So I think if I were to ever see them, I would want to see them with someone else, so that way I have their validation, so I don't seem totally crazy. Someone else is with me.
Are all the stories of them approaching people by themselves? It was on Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Lonnie. I'm gonna have to watch it.
It's the first time I heard about inviting them in. They couldn't go in her house unless she invited them in.
Yeah,
Not all of the stories are. There's actually a lot on Reddit. I did not think that there would be that many. But I have the 2 stories on Reddit that sent chills down my spine. So I'll do that after your story, but I'm excited to hear about yours.
Okay, well, so my story is actually kind of cool because it's about 45 minutes from where I live. There's a lake called Pyramid Lake, and it's on native lands where the Paiute tribe lives. And there's a couple different stories. It's about stories about the water babies. So there's one story that most people hear is that the Paiute tribe used to throw their malformed and premature babies into the lake, so only the healthy babies would continue to keep the tribe strong. The ghost of these babies can allegedly be heard crying and wailing throughout the lake, especially in the early morning and evening hours, and during the spring and prime fishing times. The second story that people tell is that a Paiute warrior who fell in love with a mermaid from the lake, the tribe refused to allow them to continue the relationship, so the mermaid became bitter and furious, cursing the lake to taking her vengeance out on any man who enters the lake. They say water babies out there are evil spirits who mimic the sound of babies to lure people into the water, and once people get far enough into the water, the spirits drown them and steal their souls, or something to that effect.
Oh.
A lot of people actually do pass away at this lake. There's rumors to be underground tunnels and stuff in the lakes. Some of the Reddit stories, I did a couple Reddit stories too, just to see people's experiences. Living here, it's known, like people that live here, they talk about it. People don't go into the water at night because of the water babies. There's a solid rock stone by the lake, and it's said to be a mother of one of the babies that the lake took, and she sat there so long that she turned to stone. So somebody said one of the stories is that the water babies are a very vengeful bunch. Reported responsible. Um, they said reported responsible for a whole bunch of equipment malfunctions to boats, accidents, disappearances. Some accounts say that they target fishermen lurking just below the surface to wait for opportunities to drown those that get too close to the water. Others are less dramatic, saying that, when you go camping and stuff there at night, you hear the babies cry at night. Some people are known to see little figures around the beach, dark shadows, eerie silence. So one of the stories is fast forward, or back into 2015. My dad and I go fishing at Pyramid Lake for the first time ever. We had opportunities to go before, but my dad refused to go to the lake for understandable reasons. Anyways, we get there and we start fishing from 5 to 7. We both get our fishing rods ready to start the cast about 20 feet from each other. For about an hour, it's an eerie silence. We haven't had any luck catching anything till literally out of nowhere, where I just start hearing sounds like moans coming from the lake, like weird moans, almost screeching. I look around, I don't see anything that can make that noise. I look over to my dad without saying a word. He just nods his head, keeps fishing. It was such creepy shit that we lasted 2 more minutes before we packed up the car and left. No more going back to Pyramid Lake. I hear if you see a water baby, you'll be cursed with bad luck for the rest of your life.
Oh my gosh. I love that there's a mermaid involved, but that's so sad. What if they just want friends? They're lonely.
It's always scary. I don't know. I believe the stories. I don't know what to believe or how the babies got there. Like I said, there's stories about, the tribe throwing their babies off to the side. There's stories about people coming and stealing the women's babies and drowning
Aww.
them. But a lot of people do say that, like, you hear it at night, and a lot of people do end up passing away or disappear, get sucked into the water. So it's kind of crazy though, because we all still go there kind of regularly.
As long as it's at
Um,
night, it's fine.
yeah, I camped there one time and I slept in a car and I woke up and there were a whole bunch of cows around me. I did not hear the water babies. So thankfully I'm a heavy sleeper.
Maybe the
They do have
cows
underwater
protected you.
tunnels.
That's where the mermaids come and play, the underwater tunnels.
Oh, that would be cool.
But yeah, so that's the story of the creepy little water babies
Very creepy.
at Pyramid Lake.
Wow, I've never heard of them, so that's awesome.
I know, poor babies, so.
I wonder if when you die, if you get to know all of the secrets of the world, or if you can only ask like a couple of questions. What would you ask? I don't know what I would ask. Gosh.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, I have no idea. I have so many questions.
Yeah, I would really have to think about that. I guess I would probably know everybody wants, well, I don't know.
I would need to
Who's
know what the
giving
deal with space is, like
with what?
the deal with space. How is
Oh
just
yeah.
this infinite space? I just need to know all the answers. All right. Did you have another Reddit story or?
No, you can
Right.
tell yours.
So the first one is called It's actually not, it does not have a title. So it's from Reddit user Swamp Puppy. So I will start. So this is not my story, but it's a story from a friend's great grandfather, and I have gotten permission to tell the story on here. This story takes place during the late summer in the 1960s in Oskaloosa, Iowa, which I live in. I live in Iowa, and I fucked that pronunciation up, so my fault. But I saw this and I thought it was so cool because it takes place in my state, so, which is a very small farming community. My friend's great grandpa Bob, who owned a farm out there, he had acres of corn, wheat, potatoes, etc., but corn was his main crop. So he had this huge cornfield. It was around 2 a.m. when and his grandfather couldn't sleep, so he went outside to get some fresh air. When outside, he noticed something that looked like a child walking around. Oh my god, a child walking around in the cornfield. So Bob ran back inside and grabbed his double-barrel shotgun and woke the farmhand for some backup. They combed through the cornfield in an attempt to find whatever was running out there. After a while, they couldn't find anything, so Bob told the farmhand to go back inside. Oh, sorry, I lost my place. Back inside the house while he stayed on the porch and watched the field. So he looks at the gravel road between his yard and his fence line that the cornfield led to. Standing on the road was a little girl around 6 or so years old. She was wearing a white dress that made her look like she had just gotten out of church. Bob thought that his mind must have been playing tricks on him, so he tried to lay down on the couch. I don't know why I'm having such a hard time reading this. Okay. But also stay somewhere alert. However, not even a minute after he lay down, he heard a knock on the screen door. He walked up to the door and slightly cracked the main door. He sees this little girl and asks, "May I help you?" The little girl said, "Mister, I'm lost and I don't know where my parents are. Can I come in the house and use your telephone?" Bob felt uneasy and told her that he could get her a glass of water and he can call her parents for her if she gave him the number, but he didn't feel comfortable letting her inside. He felt something off about this little girl. However, the little girl insisted to be the one to call and talk to them. Bob said, "Young lady, it's 2 in the morning and I don't feel comfortable letting a stranger in the house, little girl or not." The little girl started to get agitated and said, "I'm not leaving until you let me in and use your phone." Startled, Bob told the little girl that he was going to call the police and to come pick her up so they can keep her safe and find her parents. He closed the door to go and call the police. He heard somebody punch the door like a grown man. He walked back and cracked the door open again, and when he looked, he realized it was a little girl that punched the door. But when he looked at her this time, she didn't have any eyes. Instead, she had pitch black orbs instead of eyes. And the little girl said in a deep voice, "Let me in." So Bob grabbed his shotgun and pointed at the little girl and told her no and to go away. After this, the little girl looked into the barrel and then back up at Bob, smiled smugly at him and giggled, and then she ran into the cornfield and disappeared. Yeah, absolutely not. I would have to like bless the house or something. I have no idea.
Yeah, that's creepy because you think it's a little kid, so you like naturally want to help it. That guy was smart.
I feel like he saw some stuff and things to like ignore the wanting to help the kid. Imagine what you see in a cornfield or when you have like a farmhouse. I bet you hear some stuff.
Yeah, it's probably creepy as fuck because you're out there all by yourself in a big old field in the middle of nowhere. Mm-mm.
I've always wanted to live out in the country and have a farmhouse and just have my own little area. But after reading these stories, and I, I think I'm okay.
I kind of had the same dream. I don't anymore. No.
This next one is a bit long, but I'm just gonna read it instead of trying to skip some stuff. So this one is I know where the black-eyed children come from. When I was a kid, my little brother and I visited my grandparents in Oklahoma every summer. It was a pretty boring town as the capital of the Cherokee Nation. Most recreational activities were related to the culture and history of the Cherokee. Last summer we spent there. I was 11, the age between wanting so badly to be seen as a teenager but still finding enjoyment in my Bratz dolls. Same, I loved Bratz dolls growing up. My brother was 8 and wouldn't settle down unless he had his Nintendo DS. So I didn't dread visiting my grandparents' house like many children do, other than the cultural shock. I came from leaving our home in LA to a relatively small Oklahoma town. I love spending time with my grandparents, and so did my brother. They spoiled us with toys and ice cream. So on a Thursday afternoon, my little brother and I were playing in the elementary school across the street from my grandparents' house. If you've ever been to Oklahoma, you probably know the weather can change quickly. It's not uncommon for it to snow one day and be in the 70s the next. So this day went from sunny to cloudy extremely quick, and it didn't begin raining or lightning, so my brother continued to play. But these weren't normal clouds. They looked heavier and thicker, like they were almost black. Now I'm not sure if the clouds were some sort of warning for what was about to happen, but I'm just kind of trying to connect things. A girl who was probably 9 or 10 showed up. She didn't have parents with her, but it's fairly a safe town and not uncommon for kids to walk around. She introduced herself as Allie. She was blonde and blue-eyed, but began enlightening us with old Cherokee ghost tales. With Calaquala, which I'm probably not saying that correctly, being the capital of the Cherokee Nation, many urban legends in other towns. The daughter had been brutally murdered by her white husband on their anniversary for flirting with another man. They buried her out of respect, never removed her gravestone when the school was built. I feel like I need something, but... Anyways, Allie told us that it would take a bit of maneuvering, but there was a panel that could be removed and we could crawl underneath the school to see the gravestone. We were all in shape, so we began to adventure, and to our disappointment, the panel had been screwed shut and it began to rain. My brother and I decided to go home. Allie, however, insisted that there had to be another way in. I tried to tell her that her parents would probably be worried and that it would be best for her to go home too. But she was determined to find a way home. I'm just gonna make sure this is in order, because I feel like there's some...
Why do you guys sit here and
Funny.
read all these creepy stories?
Huh? Okay, so yeah, I think I fucked this up somehow.
Creepy stories are great.
Yes. Okay, so I'm just gonna skip this, then I'll go back. I don't know how I messed this up, but I somehow did. So she told us one particular story about a deer lady who was a broken-hearted woman that went missing and cut her legs off and stitched deer legs onto her torso in place. Her final story inspired what we thought would be a fun adventure. She told us a chief's 15-year-old had been brutally murdered by her white husband on her anniversary for flirting with another man. They buried her out of respect and never removed her gravestones when the school was built. Allie told us that it would take a bit of maneuvering, but there was a panel that could be removed and we could crawl underneath the school to see the gravestones. We were all in shape, so we began our adventure. To our disappointment, the panel had been screwed shut and it began to rain. My brother and I decided to go home. However, Allie insisted that there'd be another way in, and I told her, go home, her parents are probably worried, but she was determined. My brother and I went into my grandparents' house and changed into some dry clothes, drank Kool-Aid, and watched TV. While my brother and my grandparents were watching The Fairly Odd Parents, I noticed that I could still see Allie. Drenched in rain, trying to find a way to crawl under the school from the living room window. Eventually she did. I watched her crawl in, but I never saw her crawl out. We sat through an entire episode of The Fairly Odd Parents and a half episode of Drake and Josh, so it had been about 45 minutes. That night I had trouble sleeping. I told myself she had to have come out in a different way, or maybe she came out when I wasn't looking, and I eventually drifted off. The next morning I woke up refreshed. I was certain Allie had found a way out. My grandparents took us to the carnival and to Brum's and the local ice cream shop. It was 6 o'clock in the evening when we got home and my grandma began cooking supper, while my grandpa took a nap. My brother and I were kids though, and we had lots of energy left. So we went across the street to play some more, and our grandma told us she would call us when supper was ready. I told my brother that I had seen Allie go underneath the school and asked him if he was up for the adventure. He agreed, and I went to the panel that I saw Allie loosen. I loosened and crawled underneath the school, and my brother followed. The remaining daylight flooded into the basement with us, providing just enough light to see some things directly in front of us. The ground was cold, wet, and there were many pipes and old basketballs to crawl around. I immediately spotted 8 to 10 headstones, though. The first one was directly right in front of my brother and I. The name was a little too faded to read. I was feeling kind of creeped out that Allie had been right and we were crawling over a bunch of dead bodies. I probably would have left, but my brother didn't seem afraid at all, so I wanted to seem braver than him. I crawled to the next stone. This one read Andrew Cummings and had a birth date of 1890 and a death date of 1902. There was one to the left that read Allison Cummings and had a birth date of 1893 and a death date of 1902. This freaked me out even more and made me think of Allie, who had the same name and looked around the same age as the dead girl several feet below me. My brother suddenly shouted, "Look! Something in the corner just moved." Before I could tell him that we should leave immediately, he shoved me out of the way and began crawling incredibly fast to the corner further from us. I could see a couple of large figures moving, but couldn't make them out. "They're probably just dogs. Let's go," I told them. But as soon as he crawled, I crawled right behind him, getting closer and closer to the large figures that began to look more and more like silhouettes of 3 people sitting against the wall with their knees to their chest. When they came into clear view, my brother turned around and crawled underneath me. I held him close with my chest. We were both terrified. The first girl was clearly Allie, except she didn't look as lively as she looked yesterday. She wasn't smiling and her hair was stringy. Next to her was a boy who looked close in age to me, and he had no hair at all, and he wasn't smiling either. Then there was a girl who looked more normal than Allie and the boy. Her skin was dark, but her hair was so long it bunched up at the ground. She looked like she was about 16. But her facial expression was the scariest. It was one of absolute despair. The scariest part of all of them were their eyes. I could see my brother's eyes glowing, but none of their eyes glowed. It didn't even really look like they had eyes, just pits of darkness. Allie smiled and said, "Thank God you guys came." The other two laughed. "Yeah, well, we're gonna be leaving now," I said, trying my hardest to sound casual and not scared. All three laughed, and the other girl spoke up. "No, you're not." Her voice had confidence. I pushed my brother in the direction that we came out and began quickly crawling away. I heard my grandma calling for us and called out to her to help us. All three of them suddenly stopped laughing. Allie suddenly looked scared and said, "Leave right now and never tell a soul you saw us. You got lucky." We didn't have to be told twice and quickly called out. At a dinner that night, my brother and I chalked up our silence by having to have it been a very long day and us being tired. We never played at the playground across the street again and rarely talked about the incident. 5 months left. 5 months after we left, my grandparent. Oh, this is so sad. 5 months after we left, my grandparents were murdered in their home. A neighbor had said that she seen my grandma let 3 children into her home the day of their murder. A bald boy, a blonde girl, and a dark-haired girl. The cops were never able to find any leads, and the case was eventually closed. Neither my brother or I plan to visit or even go inside Oklahoma ever again, but I know that it doesn't matter. I'm certain that one day they'll show up on my step too, and I know I'll tell them to go away and only hope that will be enough.
Yeah, that's creepy.
It's so scary. So if you let them in, you die, I guess, eventually.
This is why we read these stories, so you're prepared. So if a cute little kid knocks on your door and you don't let him in,
Not letting any kids in my house.
Mm.
what if the kid was like,
Nope.
"What's the best thing?"
I'm barely letting my kid in my house.
Yeah, I don't even think I'd let their friends in at this point.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Nobody's allowed. We can talk
Kids
outside.
and old people got a bad rep.
It's because they're used as like tactics. You know, like demons. It's always said that demons come off as little kids to get you to trust them. So now kids are
Intense, yeah.
absolutely terrifying. Oh, I get so scared. I usually take my dog out at night because we work overnight, so this is our daytime pretty much. But now I try to take her out during the day.
People are gonna understand why. They're not gonna understand why I don't like kids, and they don't understand all the stories that I've heard.
I just know the kids are kind of like, oh yeah, kids are scary. Children of the Corn did it for me.
Oh, have you? I don't know. I'm sure you guys seen it. I mean, it's your city, but when I was flying around to making the intro thing, I saw the coolest like alien spot.
What alien spot?
Oh my gosh.
You know what she's talking about? I can't hear you.
Yeah, I know where it's at.
Yeah, okay. It's so cool. So I think I
It's
have to do an
insane.
episode I have to do an episode of aliens or something.
They have a underwater saucer somewhere, don't they?
Do they? That's so
It was
cool.
in the regular old school GTA, right?
We have to get scuba equipment. Let's go scuba diving.
Hell yeah, that big ass ocean, like we know where it's at.
We
I'll
no
look it up,
clipped
though.
on the bottom of the ocean.
You guys haven't even seen if the scary lady's there.
No,
Oh
we
yeah, we should go up there.
haven't.
Fuck, where is it?
That's where you gotta tell
Um,
your story. So when it hits 1 o'clock or between 11 and 1, she pops up.
Oh my
10 minutes.
gosh.
where is it?
I'll bring you where I think it is.
Perfect.
I wonder if GTA 6 will have any like spooky stuff you can do in game. That would be so fun.
Yeah, nobody knows what to expect with that. I'm just gonna. I looks different.
Oh,
So
this is
trees.
cool.
Oh, there's a fire over here too. Where are we? Oh, Bordeaux Drive. Over here.
Oh, this isn't too far away from my spooky island. That's pretty cool.
It's over there. It's gotta be over there.
Is
I
it
think
like a
it's
bridge or something, or?
no, it's like a rock because the
Oh.
lighthouse. Where's Lonnie?
He went up the hill over there.
Alright, let's see.
Oh, I see. You can see him running. He looks like a little ant.
Is it up there? Is it over there? Oh shit. Yeah, it's probably up there. Here, let's go to him. It's up here? Oh, is it right here? It is. So, at a certain time, this lady stands right here, and then there's sometimes written in blood on the concrete, it'll say Jack. And I think her husband killed her and threw her over the thing by the lighthouse. So she stands up here and writes his name.
Ooh, I love that.
So we gotta wait till a certain time. What time is it? What time is it?
I think it's between 11 and 1.
Uh,
When you get close to her, she disappears. You can only see her from like over here.
yeah, we gotta go. Yeah, we gotta go stand over there.
I wonder if we can change the time and make her pop up.
I was just trying to do that. Yep, maybe. I think right here is probably okay. I figured it out. I'm gonna genius. Getting darker. What time do you
Ooh.
think it was? Midnight? Think we're too close? No, this should be good. Like between 1 and 4, maybe? Just don't scare her away. Just get down. Just get down. See if she's gonna show up.
Really just laying up here on the mountain, huh?
Yeah. What time does the ghost lady show up on GTA?
Between 11 and 1, but I don't know what time it is here. We're on like military time.
I just changed it to midnight.
You could Google it. It'll tell you what time.
Oh, as soon as it turns 11 o'clock. Okay, hold on. Ready? We're gonna make it. Three. Two,
She doesn't like to be rushed.
58.
Saw what happened to her husband.
Okay, it's gonna happen in 2 minutes. Because I didn't want to rush her.
There she is. There she is.
Oh, there she
is. There she is.
Oh, ew, why is she looking at us?
Okay, wait. If we go up there, else it's gonna have Jack written
Sneak up
on
on
the
her.
rock.
Oh my god, there she is.
Oh,
She's gonna disappear. Come on. Look, what does it say? Slab. It's a slab. Oh my god, it says slab. Sab?
Sab?
Sab? Look at her with her glasses. Who killed you?